Time now for a Sunday morning Q&A. Joining us this morning, Congressman Elijah Cummings. Thanks so much for coming in this morning.
Good to be with you.
First, I want to get to some things that you're doing, and the first one is your Temporary Mortgage Assistance Act. Tell us about that.
Basically, what we found is that a lot of people who are being foreclosed upon, it's because they've lost their jobs. So what we're trying to do is use some of the TARP money, the $700 billion that we use for the banks. Right. A lot of those banks have paid a lot of that money back, $68 billion back. What we're trying to do is have temporary loans so that those people can stay in their houses. We have a lot of people right here in Maryland. Mm-hmm. 1 out of every 10 households are either about to go in foreclosure or in. But a lot of those people, and it's not the subprime folks, mm-hmm. It's the prime people. In other words, people who got good loans, they were doing well, low interest rates, but now they're in a position where maybe they lost their job, can't pay. So what this will do, give them a low interest rate loan, 3%, max 18 months, and it would pay a portion of their mortgage directly to the mortgage company.
Who's going to qualify?
People who are unemployed and people who are now getting unemployment. And basically what we're trying to do is keep them in the house. Because when you take them out of the house, of course, they've got to go somewhere. So they'll go and live with some relatives, and that'll cram up communities. Number two, the value of properties go down. So if you're in a block and you've got 2 foreclosed houses there, right. You might lose as much as a fourth of the value of your house in a matter of days, okay. Which is sad. And that's happening all over the country. So we think we've got a pretty good chance for this. But we've got to help people get through this storm. I've said to my constituents, we have a storm here, an economic storm. The question is, we will get through the storm, but who'll be living in your house after the storm is over? Right. Will you still have a job?
Well, let's talk about beyond the people who are without jobs, who have lost their jobs. What about the people who are facing foreclosure? They have jobs, still a struggle, and you've got a workshop that's going to help address that.
On September 12th at Woodlawn High School from 9 to 3. Mm-hmm. We did this before where people who were facing foreclosure, they were behind in their payments. We brought in about 1,000 people, and I think we were able to help 600 or 700 of them stay in their houses. Mm-hmm. That's major. Mm-hmm. And so it's coming up September 12th, free of charge, but people need to call our office, contact us now. And what we do is we match the lender up with the borrower. So they can actually sit down and have a face-to-face, okay. And bring their paperwork and, showing a hardship or whatever. And then we're able to work out a deal for them.
And it's September 12th, 9 to 3, Woodlawn High School. But call 410-685-9199.
Please.
Okay. Let's move on to something we just cannot not talk about. It's almost put to bed, but the Henry Louis Gates Cambridge police controversy. Did that open new old wounds, or did it resolve anything?
I think what it did was to just remind us that we still have some serious race problems in our country, and we do. Even here in Baltimore, we have our problems. Keep in mind that 90% of all police departments throughout the law enforcement agencies throughout the country have folks who do racial profiling classes. So that says something in and of itself. Mm-hmm. It's a problem. I think it did kind of, in a way, open up some old wounds. But I wish we could have had more discussion on it, because in the neighborhood that I live in the inner city of Baltimore, I mean, I talk to young men and they feel like they harass African Americans every day. And so we need to still deal with this issue. But again, I think it was unfortunate that it took our attention off the healthcare issue, which is so very, very important right now. But I think it hopefully Mr. Gates and the Officer Crowley will work with the president and others to try to begin to address this problem, because it still is a problem. You go to any barbershop with African American men today, they will tell you.
Do you think any other president would have been asked to apologize?
No.
All right, let's move on to health care. You brought it up in terms, we'll just go ahead and talk about health care right now. There's some who say that this is going to create problems with the that's going to increase the deficit. You're going to take choice away from people. There's so much out there about what this is not going to do. Yeah. What is it going to do?
Well, the fact is that we've got a lot of people right now we got 46 million to 68 million people every day looking at the show right now. There are people watching us right now who just found out they have a diagnosis of cancer and don't know what to do about it. Mm-hmm. They don't have any insurance. And then we've got people who have a pre-existing condition. If a woman comes down with breast cancer, she doesn't have any insurance. But believe me, she can have $100,000. Today, she's not going to get any insurance because insurance companies are not going to insure her pre-existing conditions. What this legislation will do is it will force insurance companies now to take people with pre-existing conditions. It will not allow people to drop you. God forbid you go in and you find out you got a heart problem. Next thing you know, you're being dropped. No, you won't be able to do that anymore. Insurance companies have played, in many instances, cruel games. And sadly, I see it in Baltimore and see a lot. We see it in our office. People calling in, complaining about treatment that they can't get. And sadly, people are dying early and suffering needlessly. So hopefully what this will do is it'll level the playing field. And a lot of people have a lot of fears, but the thing they need to keep in mind is we're still working this legislation. This legislation is actually before 2 committees in the Senate, 3 in the House, and it's going to take a while to pull it all together. It's a very complicated issue, but let me tell you something. You got to applaud this president for standing up and dealing with this. A lot of people would not have dared to try to deal with this, but either we're going to deal with it today or we're going to collapse under the weight, the cost of insurance. And people are sitting out there saying, oh, I'm fine. Well, you can keep your insurance. But the problem is that you're fine. Right. But there's another problem. Your premiums are going up every year. All you got to do is look at your pay stub. And people are spending, it was $1 out of $6 now. Now we're spending, in a few years, it'll be $1 out of every $5 we're spending on health care.
This health care legislation so far has gone further than
That's the other thing.
Program.
That's the other thing. We have, you know, people can look at the glasses being half empty. I see it as about 3/4 full. This president has moved this legislation further than anybody has done it in the last 40 years. And he's done it in 6 months. You know, a lot of people, I know that the rankings of the president has gone down, his favorability, but you gotta think about it. People are a little depressed. He's going through they're going through the toughest economic times. He's dealing with major problems that affect people personally. And you're going to have a few people a little stressed out. But the fact is that he's tackling them. And imagine if he did something like Sarah Palin, decided to quit in the middle of what he's doing. People would be very upset.
Okay, let me ask you about the economy. Are we really
getting better?
You really think it's getting better?
It's getting better slowly.
The cash for clunkers helped to put some money
The cash for clunkers was one of the greatest things that the Congress could have ever done. We did $1 billion, and it was so popular. I told them it was going to be popular. I mean, anytime you're giving $4,500 towards a car in Baltimore, that's big money. So what I'm saying is that we just gave another $2 billion. The Senate's going to pass theirs. So we'll have, during the month of August, you'll see probably a whole lot more people benefiting from it. But it's a good program. It gets out the car dealers moving. It'll get the various car companies creating cars. And it's going to help us.
But that's the tangible stimulus people want to see. People are saying we need to see more.
And I agree with you. And the problem is that, keep in mind, more than half of the stimulus money will now, between now and the end of the year, will be spent. We only spent a small portion of it already. So we haven't even seen the full impact of this stimulus. And I'm tired of these folks who stand on the sidelines, throwing mud, saying, oh, the sky is falling. No, the sky is not falling. We will get through this. This is America. This is the greatest country in the world, and we'll do it. Okay.
Let's remind folks about your foreclosure workshop once again. It is Saturday, September 12th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Woodlawn Senior High School, 1801 Woodlawn Drive. You need to call 410-685-9199 because you want to let the banks know that you want to sit down and meet with them. So the Congressman's office can help you with that.
And it's free.
And it's free. We always like free.
Yeah, it's very free.
All right. Thanks, Congressman.
Thank you.
A week from today, Fran Phillips, Deputy Secretary for Public Health Services at the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, will be our guest. She can join us right here at 9 on August 9th. On August 9th to talk about swine flu. And if you have any questions about the swine flu, send them in. Our email is sundayquestions@wbaltv.com. Again, that's sundayquestions@wbaltv.com. We'll be right back with more news in just a moment. But first,